Ladies and gentlemen, now today we have a brand new post on the Kabam forums about upcoming Cull Obsidian and Ebony Maw balance changes. So this is the 3-month character review that Marvel Contest of Champions have started doing, talking about how they feel characters are performing and whether or not they're going to be slightly buffed or slightly nerfed. And we saw last month that Annihilus and Human Torch were both acknowledged for a buff. And the first thing today is about Ronin, and they said they've taken a look at Ronin's performance and are happy with both his performance and his abilities, and they're not going to be making any balance changes to Ronin at this time. I don't really understand this one. I think even the very diehard Ronin players can very much acknowledge that Ronin is a significant step behind a lot of the best champions in this game, because he can do some alright damage, he's got some okay utility, but he doesn't really do anything like super effectively. So I was very confused that they acknowledge like Human Torch, who I would say, you know, I'd much rather have a 6-star Human Torch than I would Ronin in his current state. They acknowledge Human Torch needs a buff, but not Ronin, so I was a little bit confused by this one, man. I, again, don't really understand what kind of they've looked at in terms of his performance or data, because I just haven't really seen anybody play Ronin in, like, actual content or progression, so I'm a little bit puzzled by that one, if I'm perfectly honest there. And then we got Cull Obsidian. So after looking at our data across all game modes, we've determined that Cull Obsidian is out-damaging every other high-damage champion in the game. While he does have his limiting factors, once he's fully ramped up, he is able to end fights before even high-level opponents can do any meaningful damage to him. The goal of Cull's rebalance is to make tuning changes that keeps Cull Obsidian as one of the top damage dealers in game. So essentially, Cull's damage is going to be having a little bit of a nerf, but I also don't really think like this is true, because even when he's like fully ramped up, man, Cull Obsidian's block proficiency is still relatively low. You do take a lot of damage on the parries. So Cull Obsidian, I found him to a certain extent, if I want to like play him in content, a lot of the time I need to play like either perfectly with the parries or just use like health potions in order to top him up. So I think, you know, I think what's probably going to happen is Cull Obsidian's damage is going to get nerfed by a relatively substantial amount, which isn't great, but they said with this they're going to look at compensation, rank down tickets, although that doesn't fully cover the compensation of people that have like 6-star champions at like Sig 200 or awakened 6-star characters, man, and all the money that people have spent on Cavalier crystals to try and get Cull Obsidian. So it doesn't fully cover that, but what I think they could do, and I really do hope they do with Cull Obsidian, as an owner of like a rank 5 one, I don't mind his damage been taken down a little bit, but if they add more block proficiency to the character, I think this would be like a nice way to kind of balance out the champion a little bit more, because there are a lot of other champions that you know, quite honestly, have a similar level of damage output to Cull Obsidian, but also have relatively decent block proficiency as well. So I think if they can kind of bring the damage in line, but also provide block proficiency to Cull Obsidian, to kind of bring him up to like the standard level of your average champion, I think that would be a really good way to kind of tune and balance the character. So if I was in charge of this, I'd probably do it. However, it's going to be tough to say like how impactful this nerf is going to be until we actually see it, but just bear in mind, Cull Obsidian looks like he's going to be taken down a peg there. And then we have Ebony Maw. So Ebony Maw, good news to end off today's video. So the post says, "You said it and we saw it in the data. Although Ebony Maw is a decent defender, he is underperforming as an attacker." Open brackets, the designer said something about his degeneration DPS being just sad and wrong. We are looking to boost both his defensive and also offensive potential, but with an emphasis on offense. Cull Obsidian and Ebony Maw's balance changes should be live in approximately 3 months. So we're expecting these kind of around December, maybe January time there. But overall, again, I was really hoping to see something on Ronin. I'm really curious as to what like data they're looking at to you know, say that, you know, we're happy with Ronin's performance, because I just don't know, like, anybody that's like a really diehard Ronin fan that Ronin's great. I just don't really see him being like used in much content as well, so I'm a little bit puzzled about the Ronin statement there. Excited for the Ebony Maw buff though, man, because I like his utility. I think he's got some really cool stuff, especially the power steal and heavy attacks, but I'm excited to see what they do with the Ebony Maw buff, and whether or not his degeneration and damage is going to be really something quite exciting after the buff there, but also a little bit concerned about Cull Obsidian, but you know, I don't want to get too far ahead on that. Again, as somebody that's got a rank 5 Cull Obsidian, and again, this is just my personal opinion, I'd be happy if they toned down the damage maybe a little bit, but in return, like, increased his block proficiency as well. I think that would be a really good kind of middle ground that would satisfy a lot of people that have Cull Obsidian at rank 5. But worst case scenario, man, I think with this one, we're going to get rank down tickets, but again, there are going to be some people that are really, really annoyed, but I just don't want to jump the gun, like, too much personally until we actually see what these changes are going to be. But yeah, not best pleased, lads, not best pleased. But aside from that, let me know what you think about these changes in the comment section below. Aside from that, thank you very much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.